Hello, my creative friends, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Prompt. This is a new week where we're going through and we're giving each day of the week its own theme. I'm testing it out. I want to know from in the comments below from you what you think of the ideas of the different theme days. If we get to the end of the week and you think there's something missing or there's some aspect of it that I might need to rethink and maybe shuffle these things around. I haven't changed sort of the look and feel of everything yet because I do want to get some feedback from you on what that should be. But what I've decided to do for Fridays is do what I call Fast Fridays. Now, if you've been watching this show from the beginning, you probably know that I have this innate hesitation to talk about fast screenplay and to talk about this thing, this magnum opus, really, that I've built over the past 20 years, 10 actively and 10 prior to that actually developing it. And to be perfectly honest with you, I think I've been doing you a disservice. I actually think it's in your best interest to better understand that. And I think my hesitation in talking about that is kind of getting in both of our way. And so what I want to do is, my thinking is that if I can devote Fridays to it, then I'll feel like, well, I'm just devoting the one day a week, and we can all sort of agree, if you never want to hear fast screenplay, then you don't have to watch the Friday ones. But if you do watch the Friday ones, I'm going to help you understand the system, and I'm going to help you understand the bigger picture of why understanding the system is going to help you get where you're trying to go, whether you join the system or not. And once again, I just added that little bit of a caveat in there. It's a really weird thing. And at the end of the day, so let me give you an idea of what I'm thinking the Friday shows are going to be. First of all, I want to answer questions from FAST participants who are inside the FAST system doing things there. They tend to ask more complex questions because they're doing the process, because they're seeing how things are woven together. They're getting a lot more nuance. And so a lot of the questions that come up in the forums, and there's probably hundreds, maybe even thousands of questions that are in there and that have been answered over the years. So there's a sort of a gold mine of questions to address and things to talk about on Fast Fridays. But then I also want to help you understand what it is and people's resistance to it and why that resistance is there, and how people's resistance to fast is in many ways a parallel to their resistance to the work of screenwriting itself. I'll give you an example, and maybe this will be the first episode itself. One of the things that I have found along the way is that when intermediate or advanced level writers, I mentioned in, I think, yesterday's episode, where intermediate or advanced level writers will come in and they'll be frustrated with those first 10, the free 10 steps, and they'll think it's too basic. They'll think it's too slow. I get this complaint all the time of, you're treating me like a child by doing the 1 step per day thing. Here's the thing about fast screenplay. I have tested all the variables. So when I initially created fast screenplay, it was 1 step per day, as it is now. When I got these frustrations, I got these complaints, I created a version of the system wherein we tested opening up the whole thing on day 1. So writers could have the entire system and just move wherever they wanted at whatever speed they wanted to. The problem is this. If you do that, what happens is writers open it up and they go straight to, how do I connect with a producer? They go straight to, what's this magic process of finding and connecting with a producer, drawing them in, getting them interested in your story, where to go to contact them, how to build your network, all these kinds of things. The problem is, if you go there first and you don't have the full skill set of the entire process before you get there, then you're going to screw that up in a way that's potentially irreversible. That word. You know the word I'm talking about. If this is a mistake that writers make all the time, particularly new writers. They think, I got this great idea for a movie. If I can just go pitch it to the right people, and they go knock on those doors, and there's all these people knocking on these doors, that's what keeps these doors closed. If literally 80% or even 50% of the people who knocked on a production company's door and said, I have an idea for a story, if literally 50% of those people actually had something viable, those doors would be open because production companies would want to see it. They would want to know what those ideas were. The reason the doors are closed, the reason it's so hard to break in or get anyone to read your script or get noticed or any of that stuff, is because people are knocking on those doors too early. Now, it's not just the new writers who have an idea, bang out some sort of script and go start knocking on doors. It's writers who've been struggling away at it for 10 years, who've written 2, 3, 4, 10 scripts, all of which are making the same basic mistakes and not something that a producer can use, and they're still knocking on those doors. And that's why those slush piles, have you ever seen those old scripts? It's a lot more PDF based now, but those old piles of scripts, and yeah, yours is somewhere in here, right? So, can't open it all up on day one because writers skip what they need to do. Like, we need to build the skills so that when you're ready, so that when you reach that point, you're ready to go. So we spent a lot of time and energy trying out a system whereby as soon as you complete a step, you click that completed button and the next step is available to you immediately. So that way you can do the step, click to open the next step, click to open the next step, and you can go through at whatever pace you want to go through. The problem is writers rush through it. And if you rush through it, writers were not actually absorbing the information. It's impossible to absorb more than probably 2 steps in a day. It's just impossible. There's too much information. It's too dense. There's too much to think about. If you're blasting through it, you're skimming the surface. You're not digging deeper. And the deeper is where it happens. And the deeper happens through the experience. It happens through actually doing the exercise. It happens through physicalizing the process, right? So that next step each day, writers would race through it. They'd get to the more challenging stuff towards the end, and they wouldn't be ready for it. And they would quit, and they would fall over, or they would race through it and generate these projects that, because they clicked all the boxes, they said completed, completed, completed. They get to the end and they think this is something that's viable. And why is everyone giving me such negative feedback when I send it out for notes? Because you haven't actually developed the skills. So we tried doing a drip feed thing where it's like every day you get a new step, whether you take action or not. And what would happen is writers would just pool them. They'd wait for 10 steps to get released, and then they'd go hard on those 10 steps. It's that whole cramming approach. Here's the problem. To actually become a professional level writer, like professional level, you need to understand this stuff intuitively. You need to understand this stuff at a level of mastery. You have to just innately know how to do this. And the only way that happens, it's not through gathering more information. It's not through looking at this blog or that blog or reading this book or that book. It's about doing it. It's about experiencing it. It's about writing a terrible script and learning why it's a terrible script. It's about then using that knowledge to loop back through and write an incrementally better script. It's about looping through that process each time. So the system that we have, one step each day, if and only if you take action. So if somebody signs up for the 10-day free start, and this happens all the time, they sign up for the 10-day free start, they look around, there's only set up step 1 there. Where is everything? This is crap. And then they stop. I have probably 60+% of people who sign up for the 10-day free start never even open the second step. You're not going to get the second step until you click the completed button for the first step. And in that way, we train you to take action every day, or to take action consistently, at least. Why is this important? And why is it important for an intermediate or advanced level writers who already probably know the basic information of the first 10 steps? It's because we're guiding you through the entire process. It's not about the information. It's never about the information. It's about the experience and understanding and having the experience of doing the complete process. This is the one thing that I just desperately wish writers would understand. I wish that writers would see what I've built and how it's different to everything else that's out there. It is not a screenwriting course. It is the complete path through the entire entire process from the very first spark of an idea, technically from well before the very first spark of the idea, all the way through literally to the deal. And now with the writer's room and the production module, all the way to production. Now, is it designed to create material that's for me? No, it's designed to help writers create whatever they want to create in a way that producers can actually use. That's it. Whether you write for me or you don't ever write for me or never talk to me throughout or ever again, it's okay. At the end of the day, this is the process. Now, for those writers who do that 10-day free start and they think of it as a free trial, if you go into it thinking it's a free trial, you're not going to actually do those steps. If you think of it as what it is, free start, it is literally the start of the process. You start for free. You do the steps for free. If you really do them, then you're going to be prepared as you go along because each step builds on what came before. And so in that way, it starts dead simple. It starts really, really simple. And it builds. And each step builds a little bit more, a little bit more. And because you're doing it rhythmically, systematically, day by day by day by day, you're training yourself into a habit. You're training yourself to take action constantly, not when you're inspired. Because when you take action only when you're inspired, it's the same thing as binge watching this show. You binge, you do go mad and hard for the day, 2 days, a week, whatever it is. And then nothing for a long stretch of time, and you're not developing those skills. It's not the way the human brain works. It's not the way we develop skill. At the end of the day, you need to take consistent, daily, ongoing action. That's the key to success. And what I've built is something where every single one of those days builds on what came before it. Every single one of those days grows you further. And as you grow further, the challenges get harder. We're not going to be able to actually make films at the end if you don't have pro-level skills. If you don't have sufficiently advanced and nuanced abilities. That's not going to happen by doing some fill-in-the-blank exercises. That's going to happen by you having to interpret exercises, by you having to go a bit further with exercises, by you having to find your own way. A lot of people look at fast screenplay. It's got a cheesy name, fast screenplay. They think, oh, I'm going to be able to blast out a script, or it's all about nailing something in a month. It is, but only after you've mastered the process intuitively. So, what I want to do in the Fast Fridays episodes is I want to be a bit more explicit and talk about the process. I want to talk about what I've built. I want to talk about unapologetically, talk about how it works, how people go through it, where the pain points are, where writers fall over along the way. I want to address any questions from any people watching this who are going through the process. We have a no spoilers policy, so I'm not going to reveal what happens later in the process because it's important for you to go through the process and have that be revealed to you at that point. But what I will do is I will address the issues that come up. I'll address the problems and the challenges and the opportunities that come through it. Because ultimately what I've realized, what I've come to believe is that I have built what I firmly 100% committed believe is the greatest thing for writers on the planet. I believe literally every single writer, even if you've already won an Academy Award in screenwriting, I believe every single writer will benefit from doing fast screenplay. The problem is, because I'm a little shy about it, because I don't want to sell you stuff, I don't want to look like I'm a cheesy guy trying to make a buck off of writers, I'm hesitant about talking about it. I don't want to do that anymore. At the end of the day, I've built something that can get all of us where we want to go. Help me build an independent film studio, help you build a career, get you wherever you're trying to go. And by the way, not just for screenplays, for novelists as well, for web series as well, for short films as well. The writing process, the creative process. So I'm going to devote 1 day a week to it. And if you don't like it, you can skip that day. How's that? Is that a good compromise? If you do join us, I think probably some of the greatest insights and ideas will come out of the Fast Fridays. If you haven't done the 10-day free start, sign up for it. do it. It's free. You have to take action. It's simple. And if you're an intermediate or advanced level writer, you're gonna think it's too basic because we start at the very beginning. That's how you make sure you don't miss any of the gaps along the way. You start at the very beginning and you go to the very end. And the end for us is production. That's today's daily prompt. Take action. Think about all this, process it, filter it through your own thing. I know I'm talking about my system, but filter all of this in whatever way you think you need to for your project and whatever it is you're trying to build. Take action today. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching.